What's up, guys? iSquad here. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about what it was like to use the DROID Turbo 2 as my daily driver for a month extensively. So I have a whole list here of things I liked versus things I didn't like. So let's break it down. So let's start with the 8 things that I do like, and then we'll get into the 9 things I don't like. Maybe like, I thought you said you really liked using this phone. And I did. I really did. So why does the things that you don't like outweigh the things you like? Well, I'll explain. So first thing that I actually really liked about using this phone is just how fast it feels. Like, even today, almost 6 years after this phone came out, this phone feels quick. Now, it doesn't feel as fast as a, like modern Android phone, but it feels in some cases faster than my Samsung Galaxy S9, which came out 3 years after this did. So, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but it's pretty nice to have. Okay, so here we're going to do a power-up test just to basically see how fast each phone powers up. So you can see the Motorola turned on first, and then there goes the Galaxy S10, but that doesn't really illustrate much. But if you give it a second here, they both start really doing their animations kind of around the same time. Now, yeah, you see the Samsung turned on quicker, but that doesn't really illustrate it at all. Just wait for the next clip. I'll explain. Okay, so this is the clip of me actually trying to unlock the phones. Now, I'm going to try and blur my codes out here, but you can see the Samsung really hesitates to unlock, and it actually has to dim or shut the screen off before I can actually swipe to unlock, then type in my damn code, and then finally unlock. So DROID Turbo 2 is way faster in that regard. Okay, so here's just a quick bit of simulated app launching. So I accidentally opened the multitasker there, but let's open the phone. And then let's open messages. Okay. Close that. And then let's open, what are we gonna open next? The Play Store. And then what are we gonna open next here? It looks like it's gonna be the camera. And I couldn't really tell. But once I zoom out there, then we're gonna close that. Wow, Galaxy S9 takes a long time to close, and let's open up TikTok here, and DROID Turbo 2 hangs for a hot minute, and I apparently never opened TikTok, even though I opened multiple times on that phone, so what the hell. And then we're gonna go ahead and open up Instagram. And that just, wow, DROID Turbo 2 is hanging. It's really hanging. What the is going on? Any day now. Preferably today. Wow, that took a long time. More like. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And let's go ahead and open Outlook. Wow, that took a while. And I don't remember doing that great. Okay, Galaxy S9 loaded up, and DROID Turbo 2 is still taking a while. Okay, so that didn't really illustrate it well. Jesus. Now, number 2 that I will really miss about this phone is the battery life. The battery on this phone is insane. So it's a 3,760 milliamp hour battery, which doesn't sound all that impressive by modern standards. But you gotta remember, 2015, the iPhone 6S Plus had like a 2,700 milliamp hour battery, and the Galaxy S6 had only a 2,500 milliamp hour battery. So this was something different, and I can attest to the battery life. It is insane. It's really good. I was never able to kill this phone in a day, so it's pretty impressive. Now, number 3 is the size. So this phone, it's, as you can tell, it looks pretty big in my hand. This phone has a 5.4-inch display, which sounds actually relatively compact. In fact, it's actually the same size screen as the iPhone 12 mini. But because of the bezels, it makes the phone feel a lot bigger, of course. And I like that. You know, I do prefer bigger phones. You know, I was using iPhone Plus models for years. And even my current daily driver, the iPhone XR, is a relatively large phone, and I do like that. Now, number 4 is how grippy this phone feels. Now, because this phone isn't like, you know, a glass and aluminum sandwich, I mean, it does have an aluminum rail, but since it's got this kind of soft touch plastic back, it actually goes really nice in your hand, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna fall out. Like, I mean, yeah, there's some give to it, but it's not that bad, and it's nowhere near as bad as compared to my Galaxy S9 or even my iPhone XR. It's pretty impressive. Now, number 5 I will miss about this phone is just like the DROID, like the things that makes the DROID series the DROID series. So simple stuff like the startup screen, that's really cool, but also just like little shit, like the sound effects, and just like how Motorola can really customize this phone but still kind of make it subtle is really impressive. And kind of going on top of that, 6th thing I like about this phone is just near stock Android. I never used a phone with near stock Android. The closest I've got was like using an LG phone for a month, because that's way closer to stock Android than what Samsung has. It's actually really nice. Now, there's a few things about near stock Android that I don't like. I'll get into those a little later. But just as it is, it's fast, it's fluid, it's not bad. Number 7 is the little moto things. So just like the simple little gestures, like the double twist to get in the camera. Like that's really cool. And also the double chop to turn off the flashlight, or to turn on the flashlight. There you go. Now you can really tell. Number 8 is the durability. So I never really dropped this phone, which, I mean, that doesn't really say much about durability. But Motorola, if you remember when this phone came out back in 2015, Motorola was able to market this with a shatterproof display. Now, this claims may not hold up that well today, but they kind of weren't lying, because I've seen a ton of drop tests with this phone, and dropping this from what, like 50 feet? I know Everything Apple Pro did a 50-foot drop test with this phone, and it did not break. Something internally broke before the screen cracked, which is unbelievable. Probably because there's like I feel like there's a lot more layers of glass, so there's like a plastic buffer behind it or something. I don't really know what it is, but it's pretty impressive. Alright, so now let's get into the 9 things about this phone that I don't like. So, number 1 is Android 7. Now, Android 7 is definitely still relatively usable today, but you can tell that it is starting to lose support, and yeah, and also Android 7 is just missing a lot of little features that newer version of Android really got. Number 2 is the cameras. Now, the cameras are okay at best. So this has a 21 megapixel camera, and you can get some decent shots out of it, but the problem is the iPhone 6S was just a way better camera back in 2015, and nowadays this is just kind of outgunned. And Motorola was never really that great with cameras as it is. I mean, like, take a look at an older Motorola phone, like the iconic Motorola Razr. Like, this phone was great in so many ways, but this phone had a garbage camera. And Motorola, they can never really get cameras right. Okay, so let's actually do a quick little camera comparison. So I did this comparison between the DROID Turbo 2 and then two of its main 2015 flagship competitors, which would be the iPhone 6s or the iPhone SE 2016 in its case, but same camera, hardware, so that doesn't really matter. And then also with the Galaxy S6. And as a little bit of just to see how mobile photography has evolved, we're also going to throw my iPhone XR in there as guess like a secondary sort of look. Okay, so here goes the camera comparison. So here's the DROID Turbo 2's photo. Not bad, but it has some exposure issues, as you may be able to tell. Colors are decent. Dynamic range isn't horrible, but just the exposure issues is a little But then once you move over to the iPhone SE, you can see that the colors are a lot better. The exposure issues are mostly fixed. So I'd call the iPhone 6s SE camera definitely better than the DROID Turbo 2's. But once you move over to the Galaxy S6, you can see that there's a little bit more detail, although mine does have some problems, as you might be able to tell in the corner there with the little dirt. That is such a common thing with Galaxy S6s. I don't know what it is. But just as a secondary look, here is the iPhone XR's photo. Super colorful. Might have some slight exposure issues in the street there. Maybe it's just too many shadows kind of going back and forth. I'm not really sure what it is. But, of course, this is a better camera than all four of them. Okay, so now let's move on to the rear-facing video test just to see how that progresses. Now, we're recording stock audio on most of them, just not the iPhone XR. I was recording through my AirPods, but don't mind that. That's the least important out of this whole comparison. So, yeah. Quick rear-facing video test of the DROID Turbo 2. It looks fine from what I can see here on the viewfinder coming out of a 21 megapixel camera, but it's definitely not amazing. Colors are sharp, but dynamic range is kind of bleh. So, yeah, and it tends to, this camera seems to have a problem with like overexposing a lot of things. Thanks, Mr. Bus. Like I was saying, this camera seems to have a problem with exposure. Like, it seems to really overexpose things heavily. So, yeah.
We put it side by side with the iPhone SE, and this is a much better looking camera. Now, the color isn't maybe quite as punchy, but, and also this camera, you can tell that this camera has no optical image stabilization. It is incredibly shaky, but this is not bad. I mean, there's a lot more detail, dynamic range is much better, and yeah, definitely like the results of the iPhone SE a lot more. And then if you put it side by side with the Galaxy S6, which not really sure what it did right there, you can tell that there's like some spots and stuff right here. Don't mind that. It's just dirt and crap inside the camera, but this thing really punches colors, but it seems to have better stabilization than the iPhone SE. But punchy color, it kind of depends on how you like the style of your photos, but personally, I don't really love it. Yeah, and this tends to have some focus issues, and it oversaturates heavily. So yeah. And then just as a little control sample here, here's a newer mobile camera, the iPhone XR. Anyways, here's a camera sample from the iPhone XR just as a little bit of a control. You can tell that this is a lot smoother because we're recording at 4K 60 as opposed to 4K 30 on the iPhone, and I think the others they probably record 4K. I'm pretty sure the Galaxy S6 records 4K, but I'm not really sure about the DROID Turbo 2. But you can see that This is a lot better. Of course, iPhones don't always tend to be super punchy with their colors, but this is... Why are there so many buses? Yeah, also, audio quality isn't stock off this phone. I am recording off of my AirPods, but it's not bad. Okay, so now let's go and do the selfie test. So I took 2 photos for each phone, just for a, more neutral color background, and then it also more colorful background. I thought that would liven up the test a little bit. So let's take a look at those. Okay, so selfie test. So here's the DROID Turbo 2 on a neutral background. Not bad, but if you move over to a color background, the exposure issues really come into play there, so that's not great. Move over to the iPhone SE. Neutral background looks okay, although once you move over there, you can tell the skin tones are kind of washed out and a little bit soft. Move over to the Galaxy S6. It looks bad and you can see the wider angle, but if you zoom in, you can tell the skin tones are extremely soft, so I'm not liking that one. And then you can see on the colored background, it had some really major focus issues. Move over to the iPhone XR. I mean, this comparison just kind of outgunned. I mean, like I said, least important phone in this entire test, to be honest. But yeah, but what I think comes in to better play with this phone is that you can take portrait mode selfies. And that livens up. So you can see it kind of screwed up the edge of my glasses, but it's not that bad. It actually didn't do too bad with my hair. It maybe messed up the tips like a little bit. And then move over to that photo. The exposure issues are a little bit but I think portrait mode actually works a little bit better on this background because you can kind of hide the exposure issues because nobody's really focusing on that, and honestly I think this works pretty well. So yeah, so let's move on to the selfie video test. Facing video sample from the DROID Turbo 2. As you can tell, it's not bad. I actually don't remember what the megapixel count is on this front camera, but it doesn't look bad. But you can tell there's clearly no optical image stabilization. This is ridiculously shaky, and yeah, and also the colors are not bad. Dynamic range is definitely a little bit, and you can tell that there are some pretty clear exposure issues back there. That's the 3rd bustle. Why are there so many buses? Pittsburgh. But it's not horrible. Now, if you put that side by side with the iPhone SE, I would actually take the DROID Turbo 2 over this. I don't know how much you guys remember, but the iPhone S, up until the iPhone 7, the iPhones had garbage front-facing video quality. Oh, it is awful. It's just, colors are just super dull. Really weird exposure issues. Only 1.2 megapixels. Low quality as hell. It's fine for a quick FaceTime call, but I wouldn't take it much past that. This is pretty bad. Now, if we swap over to the Galaxy S6 for front-facing video, this looks a little bit better. Again, it's kind of hard to get optical image stabilization on a front camera. But the thing that I like about the Galaxy S6 over the others is that the angle is just so wide. I am kind of stretching my arm here, but you can see it. A good portion of my arm is in frame. The angle is extremely wide in this camera. It almost feels like I'm holding it on a gimbal. That's really impressive. Panning is actually pretty decent here, so yeah. Honestly, I take this over the other two. But then once you move over to the iPhone XR, it's a pretty big difference. So especially considering that I can record in 60 frames per second, it's a lot smoother here, and this just looks better. It's kind of simple. Of course, this is a newer phone, but yeah, I take this any day. Number 3 that I don't like about this phone is the biometrics, or the lack thereof. Yeah, there's literally no biometric authentication available on this phone. So that means if you need to unlock this phone, you need to
You need to type in that passcode every single time. That, for someone that's been using biometrics since I had the iPhone 6, that's pretty annoying. Because Motorola easily could have made this little Moto dimple on the back a fingerprint sensor, but they didn't. So it's kind of like, why? Like, just why? Like, I'm constantly feeling here, thinking this is a fingerprint sensor, but it doesn't do anything. So that's pretty annoying. Number 4, and this is probably a little bit of a nitpicky thing, but just having the buttons, both of the power and the volume button here on the same side, that's just stupid. Come on. Like, just put the volume buttons on one side, put the power button on the other side. That's what most people are used to, and like, the power button's textured, which is nice, so it isn't, like, impossible to figure out which button is which, but it's just a simple little thing that's just so stupid that a lot of manufacturers don't get right. So, yeah. Number 5 is micro USB. This, for someone, like, personally, for the past, 7 years, the only 2 chargers I've used for my daily driver phones have been USB Type-C and Lightning. So going to an older connector that doesn't have any faster charging speed advantages, this is kind of pointless. Now, this phone does have wireless charging, but oh wait, no, it's like the slowest fucking wireless charging ever because this battery is so massive. Okay, so in this clip you can see here, I have my wireless charger right here. The Droid Turbo 2 does in fact have wireless charging. I mean, check that out. It's pretty cool. Now you can tell it is really slow. It does say charging slowly right there. But, I mean, you never really should use wireless charging as your main charging method, to be honest. Unless it's like super quick wireless charging. So yeah. Alright, so Samsung's 2015 flagships did have wireless charging, as you can see here. So that's charging. But what's pretty interesting is that Motorola's 2013 flagships actually had wireless charging. So this is a Motorola Droid Mini from 2013, and you can tell, look at that, wireless charging on a 2013 Motorola phone. Like, that's pretty cool. Now, if you put that side by side with the 2013 flagship, Galaxy S4, nope, no wireless charging. So, if you want to charge it, you're just going to have to plug it in with the cable. So, yeah, that's a thing. And of course, if you're not getting wireless charging on a modern device, so of course my Galaxy S9 does have the wireless charging. And newer iPhones have wireless charging. So yeah. Number 6, like I said, I like near stock Android on this phone, but I also don't, because there's just so many stupid little stripped features that a lot of Samsung phones had that this just doesn't. So, like, just little things, like on a Samsung phone from 2015, you could have a blank page on your home screen. With this, if you had a blank page on your home screen, it would just erase it, which is just so stupid. Like, why? Why does it do that, honestly? And it's just other little things like that that are just so dumb and pointless. Number 7 is this Verizon logo on the front. I mean, why? Why does that need to be there? Like Verizon really had to brand this phone that heavy? Really? Like, really? That no. Number 8 that I don't like are the bezels. Now, yeah, they're not that bad, and especially compared to the iPhone 6s. I mean, these are nothing compared to the iPhone 6s. And even the Galaxy S6, I mean, like, that's almost nothing. But these should just be a lot thinner, because you could have easily fit a 6-inch display in this thing. and this is smaller than the Nexus 6. Number 9 is the sound modes. Now, this is just like this doesn't only apply for Motorola, but this is fucking stupid. Like I feel like the only companies that didn't really go by this whole Android 7 sound modes thing were Samsung and LG. Maybe Xiaomi and Huawei did the same thing, but I don't know. But if you want to put your phone on vibrate, you can quickly just do that with the volume buttons. But if you want to put your phone in full silent without like vibrations or anything, you have to go into do not disturb. Who the hell would have ever thought that was a good idea? Honestly, like, that is such a dumb ass decision. Nobody wants to put their phone into do not disturb to go into silent. Any company that ever builds a phone, don't ever do that. That is so stupid. And on top of that, a lot of phones allow you to drag into the notification center to change your sound modes. That's not here. That does not exist here. So, nope, you're kind of... So it's either volume buttons or do not disturb. Great. So I told you that the battery is really good on this phone, and it is, but there's a trade-off you make for that, and that is charging speeds. Oh boy, the charging speed. They are ridiculous. So like I said, I was never able to kill this phone in a day, but I swear, this phone, I got it down to once like, probably like 6%, and it said, when I plugged it in, it said it was going to take about 3.5 hours to charge from there on like a normal micro USB charger. Let me repeat that. 3.5 hours. What? And if that was on a wireless charger, then that would take probably 7 hours to fully charge. That is ridiculous. So, I don't know. Like, and this phone is supposed to have Motorola Turbo Power charging, and I do have that Turbo Power charging brick, but I cannot get that shit to work for the life of me. So, I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's really weird. So, that's about it. That's pretty much everything I liked versus everything I didn't like about this phone. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button down below, follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.